All right,
Literally.
I believe it is time. Got quite a few items on discussion, but overall doesn't look too bad. Welcome our guest. Thank you for coming. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
On favor, raise your right hand. Both the same. Agenda is approved. Do we have anybody for open forum?
No, sir.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Both the same. Can I get a motion to approve the regular open session minute?
I'll make a motion to approve the open session minutes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any corrections or additions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Both the same. Minutes are approved. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer payment bills.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on bills?
I had one. That's not that.
Right.
I don't get to it. Don't let that say. I didn't know what something was. I don't know what.
I had to schedule it in a second.
You remember the amount? No, it's like 2,700-ish or something twice, or
Oh, no, that was, you're talking about Polaris Ranger. It's split between elementary and
No.
high school.
No, when that.
Was that offense for the that or was also split between the elementary and high school?
Yeah, it would. Hilliard Columbia, what's that? It's not wasn't that much
Cleaning
money.
company.
All the
That's a-
custodial supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was all. I was familiar with
Cleaning
the head.
supplies, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. Sorry.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the transfer and payment of bills? Or I got a motion in a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Both the same. Okay. Reports, elementary reports.
Good evening. We have lots to celebrate at the elementary. We're still having a ton of positive office referrals. Kids really settled in very nicely coming back from Christmas break, following expectations, and just doing a good job overall throughout the building. Our PTO Fall Festival was also a success. We saw lots of families coming through and they had a good time. Face painting, silent auction, games, food, bounce house. It was really a good time. So we appreciate them for putting that together. Our Christmas concert also went well in kindergarten and fifth grade. We've had a lot of great discussions December and January with Dr. Jill Brown, who's our reading consultant that we consult with a couple times a year. We actually yesterday got to go to Boonville, which was really awesome to see her work with their teens with data talks, and they're just a little bit further in the process with her. So she wanted to us to see where we're headed. So I got to take a kindergarten teacher, a first grade teacher, a second grade teacher, and a title teacher with me. And that was really cool. We learned a lot of valuable information that we plan to bring back and incorporate this year and then dive even deeper next year. So that was a great time and we appreciate them for letting us join them. And they're also going to share some virtual data walls and things like that with us to help us improve our data. So I'm excited to dive into that as well. On January 3rd, we got to bring in 2 of the potential state approved vendors for the reading assessment, and that was a good time. It was a good chance for all staff to come in and get to see what the different vendors had to offer, and we will have one more vendor visiting us on January 29th PD. I've included in your report just the most recent evaluate data. January, we're a little bit behind on collecting that data just because of the snow days. We had to push some things back, so that will be included in my next quarter report as well. Still not exactly where we want to be, but we're moving in that right direction. And then future events, tomorrow night, January 19th, we will have our PTO family movie night at 6 p.m. in the cafeteria of the elementary. Doors will open at 5:30, and we hope that everyone will come out and join us for a fun family night.
What's your movie?
We are watching a Pikachu movie.
That sounds incredible.
The big thing right now.
I guess.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Special ed report.
Special education report will be review only. If you have any questions, I'll bring Mrs. Glenn. She had an unforeseen obligation come
Okay.
up and is not able to be here.
Did anybody see anything in the special ed report? All right. Facility report.
Or not too much to report. We're still, as far as staffing, still looking for a custodian for the events, but we haven't had anything hit on that. I moved some focus inside, did some more painting on the over Christmas break. Did this area out here around the corner and through, and then some of the walls in the elementary gym that needed to be painted. We did have a one of our compressors went out in one of the docking units in the elementary, which is going to be a pretty good amount. We're looking at around $7,990.
Good.
So that's going to be done sometime as soon as they get me on their schedule. So we're kind of working in wet mode right now. You can actually, because they got 3 compressors in each unit, so kind of shifting some of them. Had a little bit of an issue in the elementary with one of the transformers, the sub transformer that was not. We ended up getting some surges and some rigs. Come to find out one of the sub transformers that are in our utility closet wasn't bonded. So one of the phases was looking for a ground. So that's all fixed. Had Meyer Electric come in and fix that for us. As far as the lead water testing, all the samples are in, and I have talked to them again today, and they said that the samples results will be available to me tomorrow. So I should be able to give you guys some and see where we're standing on that. So and then we just move forward with anything we have to do to fix any problems that we have. So everything's pretty minor, and the deadline for getting everything else in is August of 2004, so we got a little time to fix it. So we can that's about all I got. Have any questions for me? Just normal maintenance and inclement weather.
No questions there? Thank you. Superintendent report.
I have plenty of time now that they've had such brief reports. No, inclement weather is definitely a bonding experience for us. We've been trying really hard to communicate well with our community there and collaborate with them. It's very difficult to plan for weather, but we've gotten some pretty good feedback there. Still working on our teen mental health training, which is done. Miss Aspen's done a great job over there at the high school. And we're also working on a process to nominate teachers and staff of the year. There's a state process. We haven't had a process for teacher of the year here. We are working together to come up with a rubric to identify both teachers of the year and staff members of the year. I think that will be a positive experience. About to go into contract personnel hiring season. So and we're also looking forward to contract recommendations for both admin and teachers here in the next couple of months. And from personnel side, focusing on the salaries and benefits as part of the budget process. We will have PD here in-house January 29th. And we've had some great calendar discussions with staff. A lot of what we've been talking about as an admin team is about whether our Monday kind of sporadic PD is effective. And so you'll see a couple options that'll get to you before our next board meeting that you can tell we're focused on that. Facilities, Mr. Wilson just covered. Fine arts still and athletics still looking at maintaining funding as a priority. I think we'll be in good shape next year. We will get an update as winter sports closes from Mr. Minix. If you're looking forward to that. We're beginning the planning for the 24-25 school year. That is what these next few months are about. Finishing our plan for this year and looking forward to the next. Did want to touch bases. We do not and have not in the past went out to bid for certificates of deposit because we're simply depositing funds. The reward, the benefit, the interest that we'll get actually doesn't exceed. We don't have to vote on selecting that or selecting the place that we choose to do our certificate of deposit. I'll still bring that back to you guys, but I'm gonna reach out to our local banks for that. No formal process needed. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
So is the teacher and staff member of the year, is that something that we're gonna award locally and then they go on to?
They will.
Okay,
So last year, I'll tell you what my experience was. I got a request from Desi for our teacher of the year, and we didn't have a process. I took a look at what we had done recently and we hadn't. And so that began our conversations. And so we're working on a rubric for the community, parents, students, and other staff members to nominate so that we can have a process. You guys will get to take a look at that and see who our top folks are and have a say in who we eventually select for teacher of the year, which we will then forward to the state. But we'll do that keeping the state recommendation in mind. So part of our process will mirror what the state will expect next, because we hope our folks will make it on to the next rounds.
sounds good.
All right. Next up, discussion 7.1 MOSIP bond and proceed investment.
So just need to touch bases with you guys real quick. If we are able to pass our bond and we are given those funds by the taxpayers, by the way, that will be can't reiterate this enough, is a no tax increase bond. But if we were to actually go out for general obligation bonds, we'll have that amount of money for a while before we have to pay construction companies or anyone else. MOCAT will invest that money on behalf of the district so that we can make money on that in the meantime. I'd like to do that should our bond pass. I'll be meeting with Jason Hoffman the 24th of January to discuss the possibility. And then I'll bring back what the benefits are for us, what that looks like, and then we'll make a decision on whether or not we want to go that direction.
Sounds good. Purpose animal policy, second reading.
So I gave you guys a draft policy. Do you have any questions or comments after reviewing it? It really is fairly standard. I just mixed some of the MSBA stuff with some of the Ed Council stuff so to fit our particular situation.
So is the miniature horse like language from?
That's somebody else.
Just random, like other,
Uh,
I was like, I've never heard of the miniature.
It
horse.
always ends up in policy. Shortly after the first time it's resolved in court. And so apparently at some point, someone felt like their emotional support animal was a miniature horse. So they attempted to access the facilities with a miniature horse on a leash. What do they, not a collar, what do they call the harness?
You don't get to ride the miniature horse. then.
I'm not sure if they were offering rides or not, but they did want to have it on campus. And so that's how that blurb got in there. Doesn't hurt us to keep it in there.
I don't have a problem with it.
No.
so it's not.
Okay. All right, any comments? We good?
Yeah.
All right. We have to look further cannabis to add to it. All right, medical rate 7.3.
We'll be meeting with OSBA next week, actually at the lake for one of our annual meetings, but they did give us a brief forecast about what that'd look like. Costs have risen 2 to 6%, which we experienced an increase last year. We have a few options for that. We think we'll be on the low side of it. Our fund is doing very well, but we may have a 2 or 3% increase. What I plan to do is take a look at the budget and see if we can accommodate that as a school district as part of what we provide to staff, or whether we want to allocate. I mean, you only have a few options. You pass that spent on to the employees, we take it, or we split it somehow between our employees and us. I'd rather not our employees have to come out of their pockets, already a tough time, but the budget process will yield what our decision is. I just wanted you guys to be aware that that was on my radar.
What is OSB? Did you say OS?
That's our insurance and benefits provider.
What's that stand for?
Oh, Ozark School Benefits Association.
How many are in that pool? Do you know? How many?
12 or 14,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, individuals.
Individual one.
Yeah, I think about 20 or 25 schools.
Oh, it's a big size.
It's good size.
Very good. All right, policy 342.
Something that's been coming up on DESI, and as part of our requirements as a school district. And one of the things that we have to do is make sure that I inform you about the requirement to submit a financial disclosure this year by May 1st. So every one of our board members will have to do that by May 1st. If you log on, I provided the link there. If you complete that process by May 1st, we'll be on great shape.
All right. Message delivered. Early release for track invitational.
So I'm sure you guys are aware of our parking woes. We have 2 track invitationals, one middle and one high school. Our throwers start at 1. We don't get out till 3:45. And our invitationals are pretty well attended. We don't have the parking. If we get out of this inclement weather season with an opportunity to call early outs those 2 days, I would like to. We're still a couple months out, beginning to middle of April. Thoughts on that, if I can make that work and get that approved for us out with a good return on investment. Get kids home at 12:45. Honestly, we'll still have some issues with parking even at 12:45. But I think we start running races at 2:30. And so we think we'll beat our foot races, but our throwers will still have some overlap.
What days of the week are those gonna be?
Thursdays. Thursdays. We've talked about next year having them on Mondays to avoid this very problem. One of the things that Chris and I were looking at today is we want to make sure that should we choose a Monday or 2 Mondays to do this next year, there are always competing events. We don't want to compete with for instance, I think it was Eldon that I think has a duel between Eugene. But at first we thought that was an invitational also. Well, that would be a huge competing event. Now Eugene and Eldon might not be at ours. So we're going to take a look at next year's Mondays and see what we might be able to do to avoid the congestion and the lack of parking.
What do we think?
You don't want to look at Saturdays?
Talked about that too.
Okay. Say it like this.
Are Saturdays more competitive in terms of people having invitationals?
The ones that we compete in, the majority of them are throughout the week, but there are some Saturday invitationals that we do attend, so.
Definitely not against.
Definitely all options to look at. You know, one conversation that Mr. James and I had today was just, you want to keep on reciprocal dates, right, so that you aren't competing with other big events that are happening. So I just have to take a deeper look at what are the best options when we do that, because we will do it. It was a big change, right? For especially with the cross country and track, I feel like a lot of those they're set events that have happened on the same dates. But in my understanding, right?
Yeah.
That they're just,
Consistent, yeah.
Right.
No, I
Really?
didn't.
It's really abnormal for this kind of stuff. I don't have a clue.
Say it again.
Is having early out normal?
It's better to plan them.
It's doable. It's like, I've heard of it. I mean,
Sure.
you know, Jeff said he would cancel school for the state track. That's a little bit different. Volume of event, but it's the same reason though.
Okay.
It's because like you can't deal with the traffic situation at all. I mean, like,
Just a lot
it's
of angry folks on that day.
it's a real mess. It was when I started that back in the day. It was.
I think it's just grown. It's grown a lot. I mean, I know it's always been a big event, but you have 20 to 30 schools coming in all the folks, and it's tough. There were a lot of angry folks last year. And so just looking at,
What time of day is it?
what's that? Sorry.
1
o'clock is when the field events start, and 2:30 is when the running events start.
You say it's on a Thursday? Yeah, we're not gonna be in good shape across the street. Yeah, I was gonna say if it was like on Friday, you could park a lot of
But
across the street.
that's why we started kind of engaging in this conversation. And just trying to find some great alternative dates.
I think it's a good idea to make an attempt to do this or see if it's feasible.
As long as we're not like. Obviously, time will tell, and as long as we haven't, missed a whole lot of snow days. I think it's fine.
Yeah. I'd just worry about childcare, would be the only thing I'd worry about.
Sure.
I mean, that's the one thing that I did notice with snow day last week. Had a lot of little kids running around campus and I had employees calling in sick.
Part of the reason why we wanted to talk about it now 4 months out is for that reason. I think we even talked about it a little bit last year. Should we go ahead and plan for it? But the way our minutes worked didn't make it.
Okay,
Would we have to switch? No, not would we have to, but would we consider if we end up having more snow days, switching to being in session on a Monday and having off Thursday? Yeah,
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's not really a bad idea at all. The only thing is that's a kind of an anomaly for parents too. We just need to know far enough ahead. Reminds me of the adjustment that we made on our calendar version earlier, where we just made kind of an odd switch, but that's not a half bad idea.
I mean, I'm more in favor of half a day, but if we happen to get hit with more bad weather,
Right. Yeah, we might be able to do that. That's actually really exciting. I'll take a look at what's available. We'll get closer
Okay.
anyway. I just want to give a warning order to our parents so they have time to process and have time to plan. Of course, we'll avoid it if we can.
okay, sounds good. The calendar consideration,
Administrative team met yesterday, reviewed some requirements, preferences of our staff. Be coming up with a couple different versions of calendar. There are some options out there that I'd like to get parent and student feedback from. So you'll see that coming out. You'll hear about it. One thing I wanted to remind everybody, in order for us to complete a full year of school, we have to plan for 1,044 hours of instruction. To accommodate for inclement weather, we have a few options. If you only plan for 1,044 hours, every day, bless you, every day that we miss for inclement weather, we have to make up 1 for 1. If we build in 30 hours of inclement weather, then we only have to make up half of any days that we miss. We have historically built in 60 hours. So we have historically built calendars with 1,104 or greater hours in them. What that means for us is regardless of the number of snow days we might have, we do not have to make up any of them because we've built in more than the average amount of snow days. So I'll be looking at making sure that we maintain that 1,044 hour plus 60 requirement. Bless you. We can't start below August 19th next year, which is on Monday. So likely we'll be looking at the 20th. Couple of things I told you in calendar discussions that we were discussing is kind of what I truly believe is a failed model in our sporadic Monday PDs. Be looking at something with snow days, or I'm sorry, exchange days embedded in it. Exchange days are just a fancy way of saying we have 2 planned PD days in the middle of the year that we will come up with outside PD, inside PD, some online training options for our staff, that if they do those in line with our campus and district improvement plans, in line with what campuses are doing, then they, for every 6 hours that they get, they can exchange that for being here one of those sporadic Mondays. And we're trying to do that right around late March, so that we'll actually be able to give our families 5.5 to 6 days of a spring break. Because 2 of those PD days will have an opportunity for the teachers to exchange their being off. So there'll be student holidays, PD days for us, but I anticipate 99.9% of our staff getting the PD ahead of time so that they can spend the spring break with their family as well. I'll have a version of that for the entire week of Thanksgiving also. It's something Jeff City implemented this year. I tried to get us to do it about 5 years ago. They finally made it happen the last year. Great reviews from old JC staff, and I think folks will like it here too. And we'll get our teachers and staff trained before day 1 of school instead of after the fact when they're trying to get to May. I'll get you guys a couple copies of versions of that for next board meeting's discussion and our first draft.
sounds good. Any feedback? All right, alternate snow day option.
One thing we don't have in our tool bag is a 2-hour delayed start. We could have always done it, but I kind of do a finger test there. Our bus drivers hadn't done it yet. Our teachers hadn't experienced it. Our parents hadn't experienced it. In recent history, neither had our kids. I don't want to roll that out with no instruction whatsoever. Because people have, okay, if we're starting 2 hours later, did they get out at 5:45? They have all sorts of questions. What I would like to do is come up with a 2 hour delayed start. Because the temperature at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. are completely different after the sun. Principals and staff are already working on alternate schedules, including our cafeteria, so we can do a delayed start when we have frigid temperatures and roll on with learning. Just wanted to give you guys a heads out. We'll roll out that information and 2 hour late start procedures to students, staff, parents in the community here in the coming days and make sure we're ready for the next one. So we don't have to miss a whole day because the first, 6 to 8 is really cold.
Sounds good to me.
Thoughts, I worked with the late start in the late start mechanism when I was teaching at Jeff City. It allowed us to get days in all the time, but I hated teaching those days, absolutely hate that. The attendance was terrible and it was like a half day. You didn't get enough work done. I would rather make the day up than do a late start.
It's 4 day school week help, longer day.
I guess maybe, yes, sort of. It will, but you still, I mean, you got fewer days. You know what I mean? It's gonna be.
What are the length of your classes?
Ours are 56 minutes.
56 minutes. By the time you cut up
40.
2 hours over 7 classes, let's see, probably 120. I mean, so you're still talking about 20 minutes.
And it was a different schedule I was on. We were on, and that was, and we implemented that when I wasn't at high school, with the alternative school. So we were on the hour 15-minute block. I don't know. I'd rather, but of course, we have enough built in, we'll make the day up anyway. Right, so regardless. So I guess from our standpoint, you better get them in there for a while if it's perfectly safe, and a lot of times it totally was. Like, was not safe at 5 a.m. and it was completely safe at 8 a.m. That happens a lot. That's so.
There's
Okay.
no way to tell. I've referenced my crystal ball. There's no way to tell what it's gonna, 5 to 8 a.m. might be great, might be horrible. I didn't anticipate road conditions to deteriorate as far as they did this last time. I thought it was just gonna be frigid temperature.
But it usually over the course of the morning gets better. I mean, like it just does. Certainly, but anyway, I don't know. Okay, I would be for that. I guess given the fact that we don't make the day up anyway. As a teacher, I didn't like the way it started at all.
I mean,
But that's from a practical standpoint, actually makes more sense.
okay.
Many years ago, we did not have late starts because of all the, parents going to work and trying to figure that out. And we didn't have snow routes either.
We still don't have.
We did, and but that way, yeah, and we did because,
It's too.
I'm just saying, hard to get kids to the smoke, to the pickup point. With the snow routes, so that was always done away with, and that was discussed.
That was one of my questions. Why don't we have snow route? But
I don't know, we just haven't.
I mean,
had
a lot of the
fathom
other,
this.
similar school districts around us have.
I know it for whatever reason, the different transportation directors over the years, I just remember when I worked here, it was like that. They had these conversations, like, it's just not, I don't know why, but look at the layout of the county roads and everything like that, but.
Remember
Looking at
my-
models by.
Remember my conversations with Joe?
Just,
There's only maybe less than a handful of short little gravel roads with 1 or 2 kids on it. And he's always found that he has their telephone number and he just calls them and will meet them. And so we really don't have very many reasons. We're generally good.
I just remember back, but he's not the, it's not like currently with the only group. They've never, and they always talk about it too. Like whenever I worked here in the 90s, we always talk, hey, why don't we have snow routes? And like whoever the transportation, the route routes back then, it's like then whatever superintendents, they just didn't think it was a good idea then either.
I'd say we fall into that category where our bus driver will just text us and be like, we can't make it up your hill. And we're like, that's fine. We'll meet you at the bottom and we'll bring the kids to school that day.
Okay, that's good that we make it work.
Joe does a really great job of contacting families directly and working out when specific areas aren't in good shape.
I think the late start is a good idea simply because it always bothers me when we miss a full day when we're already a 4-day school week. Like, it really bothers me that that to me, that's like missing more than one day. And so, I think a late start is a good way to at least salvage some of the time every year.
And it may keep some parents from having taken a vacation day, and for some parents, that's a big deal.
Sure. Like anything, if we make the adjustment and it doesn't work for us, we'll abandon it. If it does, we'll keep it.
All right, sounds good. All right, action items, other exciting stuff. Bond language,
So we need to formally vote on 2 items in 8.1. Number 1, the bond language, which Mark, I did change it. It shouldn't say upper elementary. It is just the elementary playground. So I adjusted that.
I assumed it meant like upper playground. And
It did.
Well, but that's gonna confuse some people.
And so we need in our minutes a vote to approve that bond language with the adjustment with removing upper from the upper elementary. We need a motion or to vote on bond language, and then we need to specifically vote on a resolution of election to assume general obligation bonds in an effort to pass a no tax increase bond in April.
okay, so let's start with the bond language. Do you want to start with the motion? Let's go, I think we're gonna vote on it, so let's go ahead and get the motion to approve bond language.
I move we approve the bond language with the adjustment.
I'll second.
Further discussion? We've all read it, so I guess the one thing I want to just make sure, I mean, we've all read it.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and read it, so the folks that are listening online can hear what we're talking about.
So we ran a steering committee process with some students, parents, community members, business members, and some of our staff and volunteers. And this is the fall. Our bond language came out as the following. Shall Osage County R2 School District issue its general obligation bonds in the amount of $9,500,000 for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, repairing, renovating, furnishing, and equipping school facilities and sites in order of priority. Safety and security improvements at the elementary school. Construction of a building that allows for removal of middle school students from the field house basement. Installation of cooling system at the field house. Site improvements of district driveways and parking lots. Upgrades to playground equipment at the elementary school. Improvements to athletic facilities, acquisition of property currently leased by the school district. If this question is approved, the district debt service property tax levy is estimated to remain unchanged at $1.05 per $100 of valuation of real and personal property. And that's the end of it. However, I did want to make sure that everyone understands, if you're listening, the acquisition of property currently leased by the district is referencing our track lease purchase to resurface the track. We'll have an opportunity to pay off that lease purchase as a part of this bond. Much better terms for us.
If there's money when we get there.
Right.
So, and maybe we should clarify, by putting it in order of priority, we're going to go down that as far as we have money. And if we don't get all the way down, it will definitely get through the middle school.
Yeah, absolutely. We should easily, I believe, get through the middle school at the very least, to get to the cooling system for the field house. I'm very optimistic that we should get to the improvements of district driveways and parking lots. There's a good chance we'll be able to replace the upper playground there for the elementary school. May have some money to improve some of our athletic facilities. And if we're super lucky and the construction market is kind to us, I think there's an opportunity to at least pay down some of our lease purchase for the track improvements and repairs.
Discussion.
Sounds good.
All right. Am I going to assume that you're going to have a discussion with UD in great detail
Yes.
about what's the details of what's in here.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, we could do that tonight, but I'm guessing you're gonna,
Yes, sir.
you're going to take care of that. All right, I've got a motion and a second. Do we want to do a roll call vote on that one? That's a big chunk of change. Roll call vote, we okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Naomi,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
The next thing, we have to have a resolution of the election for general obligation bonds. So we would need a motion to adopt the resolution as written and then a vote adopting the resolution.
Can I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
We adopt the resolution as written.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Very good. Is that all we have to do?
Yeah, we're done with 8.1.
All right, that seems a little bit anticlimactic, given how long we've been working towards it, but unfortunately, the work really probably starts now.
Absolutely,
Conveying the message about what we want to do.
absolutely. It gets on, will be, and I probably should have referenced this in my board report. We're already discussing as a team, doing those public meetings where we're just gonna reach out to quite a few churches and if they will have us do a presentation, answer questions, takes comments and concerns, and do our best to convey the purpose of the bond election and also reiterate that this isn't going to cost taxpayers any more money whatsoever. It's a no tax increase bond. It's exactly as we have been collecting taxes.
I would recommend having one of those in the current middle school.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, for folks that haven't been down there. Because it is not easy to find if you've not been there before. All right, very good. And we'll reiterate, that will not cost.
So no tax
It's no
increase
tax
election.
No, they won't see a change whatsoever in their taxes.
No, sir, they will not.
Very good. All right, board candidate filing 8.2.
We did have 3 candidates file for the board, so we will need to adopt a resolution and a notice of the annual school board election according to law. And so we just need to adopt that resolution to have the annual election so that I can get the board minutes and that resolution over to the county.
Second Tuesday of April.
Yes, sir.
All right, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the Board of Education candidate filing.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, got a motion, second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. All right, the next regular meeting will be on February 15th.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subsections 13 relative to personally identifiable employment information, 3 personnel actions, 6 personally identifiable student information, 1 legal actions involving a public body and or privileged communications among that body and its representatives attorneys.
Roll call vote. I get a
I'll
second, there we go. Roll call vote, Mark,
Yes.
Lori, Naomi,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
I mean, yes, we are.